Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum everyone. If Dr. Adam apologized for the colonial era, I think it is fair for us Muslims, because when he became Muslim, he had actually expiated himself from this guilt of association. But we as Muslims, slides. We have slides. From the guilt of association, we Muslims, we have to make tawbah, because the Prophet ﷺ said in one of the hadith that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made a prayer. The prayer sounds like this: Allah yusallita alayhim aduwan siwa min siwa anfusihim. The Prophet asked Allah, Ya Allah, please do not destroy my ummah, except if you want to do so, destroy them by their own hands. By their own hands. That means an external enemy cannot and did not defeat us. We were so strong that only we can destroy our own selves. So we have to make tawbah. The problem with nifaq, hypocrisy, that's what Dr. Adam said just now. I fully agree with his presentation. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. Amen. Now the title is the Fiqhi fact of the Fiat Fiasco. Now, I will try my best to avoid judgment as much as possible. The point of this presentation is to actually call the ulama to actually re-examine and re-look at the fatwas on fiat currency and Islamic banking and banking as a whole. I humbly put myself as someone who calls this ulama to re-examine. I'm not here to judge, I'm not here to say that they are wrong. They are my esteemed scholars, I love them for the sake of Allah, but let us sit down and re-examine. We need to re-look at the fatwas that have been released for the past 100 years. I'm sure Dr. Adam put it 1,300 years, because the past 100 years was the colonial era. It has affected our faith. It has affected our four madhab. We need to come back to the traditional methodology of the four madhabs. That is where, inshallah, we will find victory. Now, overview. Reduction and distortion of the meaning of riba by the modernists due to the abandonment of the methodology of the four madhabs. For the past 100 years, the meaning of riba itself has been distorted. People are not clear what is riba. Whenever riba is mentioned, most people will say interest, and they will stop there. Riba is bigger than that. And this happens due to the abandonment of the methodology of the four mazhabs. The moment we abandon the four mazhabs, the mess started to happen. Fiat is not qualified to be money from the point of view of the traditional four mazhabs. Number 3, fiat and the serious problems it poses to the pillar of zakat, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And number 4, fiat currency is the worst single manifestation of riba today, as it contains both categories of riba, al-fadl and al-nasab. Now, let us look at this important hadith. The Messenger of Allah forbade selling gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates. One of them said salt for salt, but the other did not say. Okay, unless it was like for like, hand to hand. So these two important requirements we must take note. Unless this like for like, مثلا مثلا بمثل or مثلا بمثل, ويدا بيد. Okay? Riba al-fadl was taken from this. Riba al-fadl means an unjustified increase. Whereas riba al-nasa, hand to hand, was taken from unjustified delay. That means an unjustified delay is also riba. An artificial delay induced in a transaction unnecessarily, artificially, is riba. Now we will look at this and we will connect that with fiat, as it is the worst manifestation of riba today. Another hadith. This is equal for equal, we have looked at it just now. And do not exchange gold or silver that is not present at the moment of exchange for gold or silver that is present. This is what we have done during the Bretton Woods Agreement. Okay, we have exchanged credit for cash. By paying with credit, claiming it is cash and paying you now with credit, there's a distortion of words, in the level of words. So Imam Ghazali said in Ihya Ulumuddin, beginning of all corruption is corruption in the level of words. When you say you're paying cash, say that you're paying cash. Don't pay with credit. Credit is, you know what credit is, okay? The fiat currency that we have today is credit plus creation of total value out of nothing. It's a bit confusing to understand that. So this is very important to know. Another hadith. Bilal came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with had some inferior type of dates and exchanged 2 sa'as of it for 1 sa' of barni dates in order to give it to the Prophet to eat. Have 2 baskets of inferior dates. He exchanged it with a higher quality basket of dates and he gave it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet said, that is riba. When you exchange dates, okay, with 2 buckets of dates, with 1 basket of dates, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that is the ayn, the essence of riba. So how do we avoid that? The Prophet said, sell the inferior dates and then use the item exchange for that inferior date to buy the superior kind of dates. That means money is not a commodity. Money should not produce money without a third party. Money should not be a commodity again, like what Dr. Adam has said just now. Okay, you need to buy something else, you need to exchange it with something else, and then use that item to purchase the dates. Now, during the time of Marwan ibn al-Hakam, the Khalifa mentioned by Dr. Adam just now, people have started trading with receipts. It means they store their gold in a vault. Simpan dekat tempat simpan. The vault give them a receipt. So instead of redeeming this gold or silver, they use that paper to buy and sell. Because people are lazy to every time redeem and purchase things with the coins. So instead, we go to the fishmonger and say, take this paper. If you want the gold and silver, you can go to the vault and redeem it yourself. But the problem is the fishmonger took that paper. He himself is lazy also. He goes to another shop and offers the same paper. So the paper starts to circulate and the gold and silver stays there. That is already riba. Why is that so? Look at this. This is hadith from Al-Muwatta. Zaid bin Thabit saw this and said, how come Marwan ibn al-Hakam allowed this to happen? This is riba. So he came and met Marwan and said, why do you allow riba? And Marwan was confused. What riba are you talking about? We're not exchanging gold for gold or silver for silver. These are receipts. Look at it. These receipts which people buy and sell before they take delivery of the goods. Why is that riba? Because when you pay with the receipts, you are actually paying with credit, you're not paying with cash. There's an artificial delay in the payment. You should pay with the gold and silver that is there. Why do you create an artificial paper to represent that gold and silver that is already there? That delay is riba nasa. You have instilled an artificial delay. Itu nasa. Nasa in Arabic means a delay. Any form of artificial delay is riba nasa. Remember just now? Equal for equal, hand to hand. Riba nasa comes from the clause number 2, hand to hand. If someone asks you to wait for payment until he has been to his house, do not leave him. I fear Rama for you, and Rama is riba. This is by Sayyidina Umar. If I tell you this, I want to buy your phone from you now, but I will pay you tomorrow. I have the cash in my pocket now. I can actually pay now, but I just want to pay tomorrow. There is unnecessary delay. If you can pay now, pay now. Don't say cash, but you pay with credit again. Okay? But if you want to enter into an installment agreement, that's another matter. So you cannot pay now. I don't have the means now. That's another matter. But if you have the means now, why are you delaying it? That means you want to gain some benefit from that delay. And that benefit that comes from the delay, whether from the buyer or the seller, is riba. Unnecessary delay, again I say, unnecessary delay, artificially created delay. Okay. But there are exceptions. The exception is if you were to exchange 2 camels with 1 camel, you are free to do so. One camel with 10 camels, one camel with 100 camels, you are free to do so. Why is that so? Because camels have never been used as money. Whereas dates, gold, silver, salt, sugar, and all these things have been used as money. So the Prophet ﷺ was actually talking about currency exchange. He's also talking about the riba red lines of these transactions involving these currencies. Okay. In the first two hadiths, the Prophet was actually talking about the common, the accepted means of exchange, monies which may include food items. He was drawing the riba red lines of currency usage. Now, look at this. This is a consensus of the four mazhab. The riba was divided into two. I will explain later the distortion of the modernists that came during the colonial era. How they distorted the meaning of riba, or the categorization of riba, which opens the door for the acceptance of banking and fiat. Okay? It is a consensus ijma among the four mazhabs that there are two kinds of riba. Tafadul, or we can call it fadul, or nasa, or we can also call it nasi'ah. Okay? Both are haram definitively. Now, there is no difference between riba of the Quran and riba of the Sunnah. Now, this categorization, there's a riba of the Quran and riba of the Sunnah, is a new introduction made by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah. We don't have much problem with his categorization, but someone came later by the name of Rashid Rida. He further distorted this categorization, which end up him declaring that simple interest is halal. Simple interest is halal. What is haram is actually compounded interest. Okay? We will look into this statement later. So there is no difference between riba Quran and riba Sunnah. If you were to look at it properly, the riba of the Sunnah is nothing but an explanation of the riba of the Quran. Both can be put under the category of either fadl or nasab. Okay, we do not need this recategorization. Yeah? Now, the four foundational buy. Why do I put the word buy? Because those hadiths that we've mentioned before, the Prophet used the word buy. La tabi'. The problem begins when we reduce the word buy to only trade. Buy includes all of these four cardinal transactions. In classical Arabic, used by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet used the term buy, it includes exchange, muratala, okay, gold for gold, maybe jewelry with a billion, with the exact same weight. Car, that is also called as buy. I have my reference here, Fatwa Zuhaili in Fiqh Islami wa Adillatu. Sales is of course called buy also, and the rent is also something that can be called as buy. In classical Arabic terminology of bay. Any exchange that happens can be called as bay. Okay, so this is very important to keep in mind so that we can understand where the distortion is. Okay. Okay, I've explained this. It is well known that sales of gold for gold is prohibited. Therefore, the meaning of al-bay' in the first statement of the hadith must point to al-muraqabah, which is an exchange of two things of the same genus, equal for equal, or al-qard. It's a bit technical. For those of you who want these slides, we will email it to you, inshallah. Okay. This presentation actually will take 1.5 hours, actually. Minimum. But I have to. Now, the modernists were perplexed by the statement gold for gold. Now, Rashid Rida asked this question: who engages in such transactions, exchanging gold for gold? So to him, that statement the Prophet ﷺ is quite irrelevant, because he did not, I have to say, because the classical scholars understood it. But he said, I do not know why the Prophet ﷺ said this. What's the point of this? Who engages in such transactions? Gold for gold, the exact same way. How many people engage in this? Of course, maybe 1, 2. Maybe change your jewelry with a billion. Yeah. But why did Rasulullah ﷺ place it the first of his statement? That means there's something important there. There's something important there. They can't fathom the need for such transaction. To them it is too rare and has become obsolete. Therefore to them, riba al-fadl, in this case, is not that important due to its rarity. Now, They're saying that riba al-fadl is too rare. What is riba al-fadl? You change gold with gold on the spot with an increase. They say this is too rare. That means it is makruh. It is not haram qat'an. It is makruh only. Because no one engages in this. But in reality, they have misunderstood the hadith by restricting the term al-bay' to only sales. That is the point of departure of the crisis. This is where we begin. This is where the al-wahan comes in. The love of dunya and fear of death. This opens the door. And we started to look at the West, being mesmerized by the West, mesmerized by the pomps and the glitters of the West. We want all the technologies that they have, and we always claim that Islam is not against technology. I'm not saying that Islam is against technology, but we need to be very, very careful whenever we incorporate new technology. We need to ask questions like, is there a real need for this technology? Number two, who will benefit from this technology? Will there be harm that will come up from this technology? Right? All these questions must be asked. But today when I speak to Muslims, they say technology, Islam is not against technology, of course. But technology sometimes is not value neutral. Technology is value laden. For example, the technology that people call as fiat currency. It is a technology, it is a technique, but it is not value free. It is value laden with the values of riba. You cannot separate fiat from riba. Like some Muslims think that they can. Let's Islamize fiat. Let's Islamize banking. It cannot happen. And it will not happen. Now, these are the four foundational bank and their respective riba. Okay? So we have exchange, debt, sales, and rent. To put it simply, all financial transactions that we engage in will not be out of these four. It's either a mix of these four or either one of these four. Okay? Exchange, debt, sales, and rent. What is an exchange? An exchange is when you exchange two things of the same genus. This is called al-muratala. Okay? Now, when you do al-muratala, when it comes to non-money like camels, disparity is allowed. One camel with 10 camels, 20 camels, no problem. But when it comes to money, which includes food items, disparity is not allowed. In muratala, disparity is not allowed. What about delay in muratala, in exchange? Delay in exchange is also not allowed. When there is a delay, it becomes debt. It is not an exchange anymore. So we need to call it as it is. Okay? Bila ada penangguhan, cakap itu adalah hutang. Jangan kata dah berlaku sekarang. It's happening now, but there's a delay. Okay? Debt. Exchange the same genus. I give you 10 dinars as a loan. You must give me back 10 dinars. Exact same genus. And disparity is not allowed. Delay is allowed, of course. In a debt transaction, there must be delay. If there's no delay, that means it's just a foolish transaction. It has no meaning. What about sales? When we speak about sales, it is about exchanging two things of a different genus. You are exchanging roti or bread with salt. That is buy. Okay? Can there be disparity? Of course, that is your profit. Can there be delay? In a sales transaction, originally they cannot be delayed by default. But there are exceptional cases like bay' salam and bay' istisna, because you don't have the thing at that very moment. Of course, you need the time. Okay? But by default, sales must happen on the spot. Okay? That's what we call it sales. Then when it comes to rent, it's about exchanging two things. Okay? You're giving back the same item that you rent, plus the payment, which is of a different genus. Okay? Profit is allowed, of course, and delay is allowed. Now, these are the four cardinal transactions. When you exchange this X with a tick, that's where the riba happens. When you exchange this X with a tick, this X with a tick, that's where it becomes riba. And why do I place disparity and delay? It comes from the hadith of Rasulullah just now. Hand to hand, and on the masalan bi masalan, equal for equal, and hand to hand. Now, distortions of the modern is due to the abandonment of the methodology of the former times. Look at what Rashid Deros said in his Al-Manar. There is nothing in our religion which is incompatible with the current civilization, meaning the dominant Western civilization of his time. especially those aspects regarded as useful by all civilized nations, except with regards for a few questions of riba. He acknowledged it. But look at what he said after that. And I am ready to sanction everything that the experience of the Europeans before us shows to be needed for the progress of the state in terms of the true Islam. But I might not confine myself to a school of law, only the Quran and the authentic hadith. But this is the poisonous call of this age. Let us return to the Quran and hadith. Let us bypass whatever the ulama have derived from the Quran and hadith. It is like deriving water from the well by cutting the rope. This is what we as the ummah has been doing now. That is the crack that allows us to, at the end of the day, legalize banking and fiat. Now, riba of the Quran, riba of the Sunnah. Before this, it was riba al-fadl and riba al-nasiyah. Both in the Quran and hadith must be categorized under fadl or nasiyah. But they introduce a new categorization. Riba of the Quran is different, riba of the Sunnah is different. Riba of the Quran confined to compound interest. Because Allah says in the Quran, la ta'kulu riba adha'afan mudha'afa. Berganda-ganda, jangan makan riba secara berganda-ganda. Multiplied. So they say compounded interest is haram. Allah have never disallowed small or simple interest. Whereas riba of the Sunnah, disparity and delay in barter trading of specific items, which the value become obsolete, therefore not important and must be deemed as makruh, not haram. Okay? See, this is the ayah. For you who believe it not riba, double and multiply, but fear Allah. This is what he said. He uses this ayah, but this is picking and choose from the Quran and hadith. This is the problem when we claim that we can go straight to the Quran and hadith. Have we actually encompassed the Quran and hadith when we quote a verse, when we quote a hadith? That is the problem. I can quote from the Quran and hadith like ISIS. ISIS quote from the Quran and hadith also. But what's missing from ISIS is fiqh. And the fiqh can only come from intelligent, credible scholars of Islam. Not any Tom, Dick and Harry goes to the Quran and hadith and derives something from it. That's the crisis, brothers and sisters. Simple interest charged or paid by the banks was not prohibited by the provision of the Quran at all, nor by those of the Sunnah. Okay? He was explaining about the position of Rashid Rida. This man is very influential with regards to the setting up of the Islamic Bank. Okay? But the Quran refused the distortion. In the verse on riba, Surah Al-Baqarah verse 287 to 280, Allah says even simple interest is haram. Okay? Simple interest is haram. But if you repent, you shall have your capital sum. That means you are only allowed to take your capital sum. It's not even 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. You're not even allowed to take a single cent from it. So how did he arrive to that conclusion? Because he wants to accommodate banking. He wants to accommodate the Western civilization's thoughts on this matter. So this love-hate relationship that we have with the West, we are confused who we are, what we have to become, until we become no one. Mudhabdhabin, la ilaha ula wa la ilaha ula. Mudhabdhabin means we are not sure where to go. End up, we are not here, not there. This is what Allah says in the Quran. Mudhabdhab. Through this recategorization, small interest becomes halal and riba in paper money, okay, was not seen as riba. Okay. This is the repercussion. Now, this is the topic of my presentation actually, but it's actually quite simple. When you speak about fiat, can you hear me at the back clearly? Okay, alhamdulillah. Now, this is just a sharah of what Dr. Adam have presented just now. The quotation from the book, okay, with regards to the status of fiat as money. Look at what Ibn Qayyim said. This is our classical traditional scholar. What is it? Money must relatively have a determined and specific value. The value must not rise nor fall, because if the value of money rises and falls like other commodities, we will not have a measure to measure the value of traded things. In fact, we will not have the measure to measure all commodities. Tak ada kayuku. Okay? Now, what is the hukum of inflation actually? No one dares to say this. The hukum of artificial inflation is haram. وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. I believe the same financial crisis happened during the time of Nabi Shu'aib. They, what do you call that? They degrade the value of the money. What do you call it? They debase the coins. That is inflation. During the time of Nabi Shu'aib. So Allah said, do not diminish the value of people's wealth. It's haram. But we say that today that's normal, Ustaz. That's normal. Inflation normal. We need to wake up. Now, this is what Imam Shirazi, this is from the Shafi'i Mazhab. When they define money, because they are the foundation of everything bought and sold. With them, the value of wealth and profits are known. Same, they are talking about the same thing. This is from Al-Makrizi, from book Ighathatul Ummah, Bikashfil Ummah. Okay? So he used the term Nukud Syari'ah also here. Okay? ولا يعلم في خبر صحيح ولا سقيم عن أمة من الأمم اتخذوا نقدا غير الذهب والفضة. You see that when we look at history, no civilization has ever taken other than gold and silver as money. Okay. فكانت الفلوس وسيلة هذه المبادلات ولكنها لم تكن نقدا البتة ولم يوجد منها إلا اليسير ولم تكن في إقليم ما بمنزلة النقدين. Yeah, he used the term naqd shar'i. فإن الفضة هي النقد الشرعي. So he made that bold statement that gold and silver, here is specifically talking about silver, say that it is sharia money. So it's not about what's important is the value. No, the coin itself is prescribed by Allah. Sorry, it's an-nuqud al-islami. Yes. Okay. This is from the ulama of the Hanafi Mazhab. They are saying the same thing. Okay? Everything is measured by it. Wealth is measured by the two. They are not desired for themselves, but they are the measure of the value of things. What is desired of money is that it becomes a measure of the value of things. Through it, the value of things are known. This is from the Maliki Mazhab, from Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi and Ibn al-Qasim in his Al-Mudawwana. He's saying the same thing. And our Shafi'i scholar in 1882 understood this very well. But people are not listening. During this time, the Muslims have started to secularize their minds and have started to look at the mazhab and the traditional scholars like this. Oh, you are from the 1,400 years ago. You're not suitable to be here. No, we are the ones who are irrelevant. We are the ones who are slow. We are the ones who are not intelligent. They are far more intelligent than us. We need to come back to the hikmah, the wisdom. Look at what he says. Transacting with this paper is invalid, he says. Invalid. Such a bold statement on that time. There is no zakat on it. Imagine, we are paying zakat with foreign money. That is humiliating, that is insulting our religion. Menghina agama. This is by one alim from the mazhab, Imam Sharwani, well known from the Shafi'i scholars. Among the requirements of a means of exchange and item exchange is that it must have intrinsic value and benefit that is accepted by the Sharia. It must be able to be considered as money in the situations where one have a choice. Now, you may claim that we don't have a choice. That's why the ulama brought the maslaha, darura, haja, into the picture, which I do not seek to talk about it now. These conditions are not present in paper money, for its value only comes from the imposition of the government, meaning the value is extrinsic. It was imposed from the outside. If there is no imposition from the government, there will be no value in the paper money. Okay? For when the Sultan revokes it, nobody will use it as money, nor can it be exchanged for money. He has summarized it, okay, in 1882. But the Muslims are not listening. The well-known ulama listed below, which includes our Nusantaran ulama from this part of the world. Sheikh Muhammad Arshad al-Banjari, well-known until Yemen. Okay? Sheikh Ahmad Khatib, Sheikh Al-Hajj Wal Ahmad Barmin Fatani, the Mufti, Sheikh Al-Hajj Abdullah Fahim. These are all great scholars of the Nusantaran people. They have declared that there shouldn't be zakat for paper money during that time. I'm not telling you don't pay zakat with paper money now. Disclaimer. I'm talking about that time. This is to show that they understood the reality of paper money at that time. Zakat is a tawqifi form of ibadah. No one should add into, remove from, change, modify anything from it. Now, if I were to tell you, let's reduce our Jum'ah to 1 raka'ah, people are busy working, it will not be accepted. But how come when it comes to zakat, we can change the means of payment? Allah have pegged the nisab of zakat to gold and silver. It means gold and silver will never lose value until the end of time. So the fear that people have, no, what if something happens to gold and silver? That is artificial fear. Okay? It will not happen. If that were to happen, what will happen to our zakat? If suddenly gold and silver suddenly hyperinflation, the price of gold and silver suddenly goes down very badly, what will happen to our zakat? You think that will happen? If that were to happen, the pillar of Islam will fall. Will Allah allow such thing to happen? He will not. It is a consensus among the four mazhab that zakat must be paid in ayn, not dime. It must be paid with cash, not credit. I cannot give you a paper and say, okay, this is my zakat. 1 month after this, you can cash it out. Not accepted. You must pay with the real intrinsic value items. We are very strict in this matter. When it comes to terms and when it comes to reality, we need to differentiate between illusion and reality, artificiality and truth. Okay. Now this is from Singapore. Nisab zakat. Fiat nisab of zakat in 2008 was around 2,500. In 2013 it jumped to 6,500. Now, in just 5 years, a person who had that 2,500 can fall from being a zakat contributor to a non-contributor without a single or a slightest change to the digits. What happened? You are a zakat contributor, you didn't touch your money at all. After 5 years, you don't have to pay zakat anymore. I mean, they have attacked our pillar of zakat also. So the number of zakat payers will be reduced. Even if you're just sitting down not doing anything. It's not that you come into a risky investment or that. No, you don't have to do anything. Okay. Now, this is an important book, The Golden Constant by Prof. Roy Jastram. He measured 500 years of the relative stability of the price of gold. Okay, and he claimed that there is a divine hand that protects the price of gold. For 500 years, it stays relatively the same. Relatively the same. Okay? The purchasing power over 500 years. Because Allah has promised to protect it. Interestingly, just now Dr. Adam said, the amount of gold that has been excavated, 4.7 billion tons. Ounce. Whereas silver, 47 billion ounce. What is the nisab of zakat in gold and silver? 20 dinars and 200 dirhams. All 200 dirhams. Subhanallah. Same ratio, same percentage. 1 to 10. This is a miracle, brothers and sisters. You know all these things, okay? Despite the claim that gold is inefficient, insufficient, inconvenient, it still maintains its main role as money. Whereas fiat, people call it efficient, sufficient and convenient, but it fails miserably in performing its roles as money. So we are actually regressing behind, brothers and sisters. Please accept this fact. We are not progressing. We are regressing. Kita mundur. This is the idea that we need to pecahkan. We always think that we are in the 21st century. We are better off than them. It's true. Are we healthier? Is our relationship better? Our economic state better than them? Are we sure? Our mental health better? Confirm? Where? So when we say progress, where? Tell me exactly where. Oh, you have iPad also, you use iPad and then you say something like that. You use phones. People are more connected today, but is it really true that people are more connected today? Families are breaking up. Why? iPad. Because we have lived behind fitrah lifestyle. That is the problem. We have lived behind fitrah lifestyle. Okay? Sorry for short. Okay. Riba in fiat. Where is the riba? Fiat from Latin, which means let it be. I love to translate as kun fayakun. Exactly. Fiat means let it be. Apa-apa je lah dalam bahasa Melayu. Okay? In Arabic, it's called kun fayakun. That is why Allah declared war against people who eat riba, because they are trying to play God. If I can create something ex nihilo, you riba eaters, you claim you can also create something out of nothing. Who the heaven you think you are? Right? That is why Allah declares war. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. I declare war from Allah and His Prophet. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. But the best way to understand the two types of riba, okay, is to look at the different stages of the devaluation of money, not evolution. The highest is gold and silver. Fiat currency is at the lowest, under my feet. That is the fact. Okay, that is the fact that we have to accept and telan. The money has devolved, not evolved, devolved. Okay, so these three stages are very important to look at. Number is a promissory note backed by gold and silver. Simply put, during the Bretton Woods Agreement, right? 1 ounce of gold can be exchanged with how many US dollar? So 35, thank you, 35 US dollar. Okay, that means that paper is a promise of payment. Okay, and then it further devolved to stage number 2, a process of unilateral devaluation leading to a complete revocation of the contractual agreement. They reduce the, okay, now 35 US dollar can only give you half an ounce, for example, and then later reduce. That is khiyana, brothers and sisters, treachery. Okay, penipuan, blatant treachery, khiyana, and complete revocation after that. That was during the Bretton Woods Agreement, 1973, if I'm not mistaken. Number 3, now the paper that we have in our pocket. Now, a piece of paper not backed by any specie, whose legal value is determined by the compulsion of the state. Now, this is the worst form of money, and in it, they are both riba. Riba al-fadl is inside, riba al-nasi are also inside. How is that so? Now, promissory note backed by gold or silver. Payment with credit as if it is cash is clear example of riba al-nasa. Look at this hadith, very clear. Okay, Zayd bin Thabit, he called it as riba. Paying with this promissory note. Instead of redeeming the gold and silver, you're paying with the promissory note. That is riba nasa. So from the first level, it's already riba nasa. If we were to take heed from this advice from from the Sahabi, we will not fall into the Bretton Woods mess. We will not fall into the Nixon shock also. Number 2, a process of unilateral devaluation leading to a complete revocation. This is blatant khiyana. I don't need to present you any arguments. Everyone knows that it is haram. And number 3, this is the paper money that we have now. Okay? There's riba al-fadl and also riba nasa. Why riba al-fadl? Because it is a creation of value out of nothing. That's fadl. People are angry when you take 5% interest, isn't it? Oh, 5% is haram, 10%, 20%. What about 100% creation of value out of nothing?
No reward.
Sorry?
No reward.
No reward. Yes. Out of nothing. Ex nihilo. Tak ada timbal balas. How come we accepted that? How come 5% is too, mashallah, ugly, but 100% creation out of nothing? Oh, this is progress, Ustaz. We need to follow the progress. No, you are not progressing. I'm sorry to say that. Okay. If that is not riba, then nothing is. Creation of value out of hot air, Prof. Adi Setia said. If that is not riba, then what is riba then? Okay. There is riba al-fadl. Whereas riba nasa, there is also riba nasa in fiat. Since most, or at least 97% of the circulated money is connected to someone's debt. Right? Money that we have in our pockets is connected to someone else's debt. Right? Through fractional banking and credit creation, if there is an epidemic of defaults, which surely leads to an economic crisis, most people who are not connected to the debt will be affected too. So that whenever there is default, mass default, we who have nothing to do with the debt will also be affected. That means The paper money that we have is connected to other people's debt. So in that sense, it has something to do with promissory note, worse than a promissory note. Okay? This is the little bit history. This statement by Shaykh Sufi, very important. If we Muslims today look at the order of events, taking into account all that has been outlined here, we cannot fail to recognize that the kuffar destroy their enemies with the language of reform, modernization, and rationality. It is also clear that everything they claim to do, the benefit of mankind, leads to its opposites. Now, this is a scholar who sees. This is a scholar who came from the West. Shaykh Abdul Qadir Sufi, his name was Deros. He became Muslim 40 years ago. He understood what his forefathers have done to the Muslim world. He is telling us what we have done. We say, no, we trust you. He said, don't trust them. We say, no, we trust. These people are good, intelligent people. Islam is, sesuai dengan setiap tempat, setiap waktu. This mantra that we always repeated without consciously putting our minds into it. Islam is not suitable for all times and places. Islam is only suitable for a time and place where the people in that context accepted it. If you don't accept it, you cannot force Islam into what you want. Say that you do not want it. Don't say, I want Islam, but I want Islam to change for me. That means you do not want Islam. You want something else. You want something else. We want something else. Shall we start progress? Or we have fallen to the same trap? I love this guy. This is what they have done. You already have a shelter. You already have a tree. But someone comes to you and says, do you want me to build for you a better shelter? We say yes. And suddenly you find yourself in debt. And you receive the same thing. The thing that you already have. Why do people leave villages to go to cities like Kuala Lumpur? To find what? Love of dunya and fear of death. The most happiest people that we've met are always the people of the kampong, right? Of the highest taqwa, of the most beautiful of smiles. Depression and stress always starts from the city. Why? So is city life something that is promoted by Islam? What about banking? What about other things? We need to rethink. I'm not making judgment. I want us to just rethink, brothers and sisters. If there are mistakes, please send me an email or contact me. I want to correct my mistake if there is.
Thank you.
This hadith, the dangers of falling into debt. The Prophet ﷺ seek refuge from that. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ غَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. And I seek refuge by you from being overpowered by debt and from the coercion of men. Whenever you are overpowered by debt, you will be coerced by men. Right? The solution is already present in the traditional fiqh. What we need is a total paradigm shift. The way we look at progress, the way we look at technology, the way we look at development, the way we look at profit, the way we look at success. We need an overhaul on the level of worldview. A big heart, consistency and tawakkul. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.